We're going to be talking about a situation, and I'm going to say a circumstance. I'm going to put it that way, a more gentler side of things, because I don't believe too many people are talking about this, of if any, and I think it needs to be addressed. So today we're going to open up the book, and unfortunately, I believe we are in day 101 of Nancy Guthrie. Now, when I say gentler side of things, there are some innocent people that are involved. Now, I know many of you are thinking, wait a minute, what? No, I'm not talking about the adults. I'm talking about the grandchildren, and especially the grandchildren that are nearby. And that's why I'm going to be very careful, because they are the innocent ones here. And I want to just come out and say that. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer. I am a forensic tarot profiler, an intuitive profiler. And since I did this part on, I'm going to say the remote, I don't even really know. To me, that's not really even a remote. That's a portal view. I was looking through mirrors the best that I could. But for lack of a different word to even call it, I was looking at things. And ever since I was looking at that, I have been thinking about the grandchildren. We can all guess that they have been questioned. And I'm going to be careful about my words here. So I want to ask you for your indulgence, because I don't really think correction is something that should be given here. And I mean that for me. So, and this, my darling, I'm just going to say this. I can bet you that the FBI and the Sheriff's Department has interviewed Tommaso and Annie's children. Now, I don't know how old they are, definitely, and I really don't want to know, and it doesn't matter if you put it in the comments, because it just doesn't matter to me. Their children, I believe they are under the age of 16, and it wouldn't matter anyway, but I want to touch on this for a second. When children are involved in something so horrific, they become extremely protective, not only of their family, but of themselves. And even if they did know the truth, which I don't believe they do, but even if they did, it's going to be very, very hard on them, because they know their parents, they know the family, and frankly, this is all they know. Now, let's talk about this for a second, because I have some questions. And the questions are pointed mainly for Annie and Tommaso, not so much the children, because I want to really kind of leave them not out of it, but gently over here. So my question is, where were they? When Nancy left the house? Did they see? And when I say that, did they see her leave? Did they see her with Tommaso? You see, these are all questions that the authorities are going to ask them. Was anything off? Situation, was there an argument? Was there any type of anything else like that? And this is why I'm asking. This kind of reminds me of a case that I was involved with a few years ago, where there was a young girl. She wasn't little, but she was preteen. She was like 11, 10, 11, something like this. She knew enough to know, right? She had a very good moral compass, and her parents knew it. Her parents were involved in another type of crime. It doesn't matter. Everything has been taken care of. There was a trial. There was conviction. I'm sure that this young girl is okay. She's not young anymore. It's been a few years ago. And the parents knew. So I'm going to write this over here. The parents know the child. Or do they? See, the parents of this previous crime that I was reading on knew their child. They knew her. And I'm just going to say, anytime they wanted to make any type of plan, they made sure they did it without her in the room or without her in the car, because they knew that she had a very strong moral compass. And she wouldn't take it. She would not accept any of this. So at this point, it came time to do the crime. They sent her to her room. They got her actually a brand new DVD. They told her that she could play it loudly. She did that. And so they heard this. The parents committed the crime. They let it go for a little while. They made sure everything was back intact. When the movie was over, she came out and was happy and said that she loved it. But when it came time to where she was supposed to be talking to law enforcement, what did she do? She told law enforcement, I knew something was wrong. They never send me to my room with a DVD and tell me to play it loudly. They never ask me to go into another part of the house and do something. I've noticed that a lot lately. They've been asking me to leave. The point is this. Here are the questions that I want to know. I want to know, did Annie and Tommaso ask their kids to leave the room? Did they kiss Grandma goodbye after the night of dinner and games? And did they have somewhere else to go? Did they have something else to do? Did they actually see Nancy get into the car with Tommaso? Did they actually know that that's what the idea was that was going to happen? Did they have an idea of a time frame of how long Tommaso was gone with Nancy? Did he leave and then come right back? Did he leave and was he gone for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour? Or did he leave at all? Was his car broken down? Did they have to wait for someone else to pick them up to take Nancy home? Did someone else come to the house to visit, and did Tommaso invite them, this person, to ride along with him while he took Nancy home? Did Tommaso stop off to get gas? Now, the kids may not know that, but you know what? They might. Kids are smart. If so, was Nancy with him when they did that, or was Nancy already home? It even will come down to, do you know what route they took? Because I guess there's a few little, maybe, nips and quirks and everything else. So I want you to think of them because, first of all, this can be very hard on a kid. But my question for this, did they hear anything? It's not so much what they saw, but what did they hear? So I want you to think about this because, at any time, the feds can show up at school or at sports or anything else to maybe just pull a kid to the side. Now, this young girl ended up testifying in the trial. What or how the prosecution got the conviction wasn't by what she said. It was by what she didn't say. And what she didn't say was, I knew they committed a crime. I saw them commit a crime. And the jury heard this. The uncanny thing was, the prosecution was very clever and framed this as what was set up to be normal wasn't normal. And that's how the jury came to the conclusion that these two parents were wrong. And I wonder about these children. Now, I think they're old enough to know. I think they're old enough to know what's going on. I think they're old enough to know. But the unfortunate part is, this is very hard on a kid to know that law enforcement is looking at your parents or anyone else in the family. It's very hard to see on the television and YouTube all of everything going on, and especially the wild things, as in her being sedated and all these other things that people are putting out. I want you to know this, okay? I have dug really, really deep into this as far as the pacemaker showed there was a spike and she was sedated. There is no credible source, law enforcement, that has that information. And I want you to know, if this were really true, News Nation, Fox News, all of these others, NBC, TMZ, they would also be reporting on it. And Brian Enton would be jumping out to the head of the line, and so would Ashley Banfield. It's very unfortunate. But also, I want you to remember that there are HIPAA laws, and they can't tell a lot of things that come across for medical reasons. So anytime you hear anything that seems a little sensational, because to me, this seems a little sensational, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You're trying to help. It's not your fault. But it's the fault of those people that put these things out there. And that's why I took that one video down. Because when I found out that it wasn't really so, and believe me, somebody grabbed it within a few minutes and put that on another platform, and oh, brother, did I get bashed, and verbally. And it doesn't matter to me because I did the right thing and took it down. And I want you all to know this. Do not use search engines many times for your due diligence, because there are people behind the search engines that don't report correctly. In fact, that information that I had on Longmont about Nancy and the information being found in Longmont, Colorado, there were some search engines that were still reporting it as true, and even in print. So you have to be really, really careful. The information, I'm sure, that law enforcement has gotten from these kids, and I'm also going to say this, I believe that this agency right here has a lot more from interviews and etc. from those kids than Pima County. Now I want you to also know I'm going to use this page. It's easier for me to write on. Then I don't have to write here and you're not looking like it's slanted. We'll use this pen. There are some things in this investigation I think we really need to look into a little bit more. As in these questions. Was the scene, and you know what scene I'm talking about, staged? Was there something that, I don't know, could it cover it up maybe? Now the kids are not going to know that. Maybe. But what the kids always know, and they're smart, the kids always know what even the parents buy at the store. What did they get somewhere? Did they buy something on eBay? Did they buy something? Did they pay cash for it here? Is that normal? So my question, this brings up so many questions. You know, do I feel that the scene was staged? Do I believe that there's being something that, oh, I don't know. You know, what do you do with a blanket when you're cold? Oh, you cover it up. Because this is serious now. We're in day 101, and there are some things that intentionally were flubbed up, and I still believe that there is, let me get this other pen. Who knows what that one will do? I do believe that there is evidence missing, and it is crucial. After what I saw Saturday, because, you know, my mind keeps revisiting this, and especially, you know, that 3 a.m. morning where you're sitting there and thinking, wow. And I find myself recalling this information and trying to look harder at that scene, trying to blink my eyes and maybe trying to even look a little harder. And from what I can tell you is this, the people, and no, I'm not going to name names, and no, I didn't see who it was, and no, I'm not going to do any of that, but the people that did this, when the perpetual started hitting the fan, and let me say that. Now, I've never said in this scenario, but Nancy was not responding. She could have fainted. She could have. Anything could have happened. But I'm going to tell you, when they were frantically looking and going back and forth, and they were looking through drawers, They weren't looking for paperwork. They weren't looking for wills. And quite frankly, if they did find it, it wouldn't do them any good anyway, because that's a whole total legal process. And believe me, I think if anybody that was close to Nancy perpetuated this crime, they would have found out right from the jump. If Nancy was taken, how quickly can we cash in? Because it is a process. And that might be some time. So no, they were not looking for that. They were looking around things, like on the top of like a dresser, at the top of a table, and they were looking in a drawer. They weren't looking in the drawers underneath. They were just opening a drawer and shutting it. They were looking to see if there was, probably thinking about this, they were looking to see if there was any more camera, any recording device, that's what paranoia does for you. Now, I also want to address this part where this guy right here, he's a doofus looking guy, isn't he? I probably am not going to get this guy out of my brain for a long time. He doesn't know who I am. He didn't see me. I was a mist there. But when he was looking there, he was doing some soul searching. I could feel it. Just the energy in the mirror. And I also want you to know that I was looking in, the energy equals frequency, okay? So the frequency sometimes will vibrate like this, or it will not be so much like this, see? Or it will be really, and during that time where they were arguing, it was like pulsing. It's a pulse. That's what energy does. My darlings, I want you to know something. I had an experience that was like quantum physics. But when this guy was looking in the mirror, and I was looking back at it, I need to do something with my hair, don't I? When he was looking back at me, this mirror right here was not glowing, but you could tell it was almost electrified, because he was putting so much energy into this. And that, after thinking about it, in my opinion, it would be hard for me to believe that this was not something that Nancy would have recognized. Just because of that soul searching. It was horrible. And you know, the person who seemed the less affected, I'll tell you. Little Miss Boobalini. She seemed the less affected. She seemed the most erected, although she did not seem like she was the boss of the applesauce. She seemed as though she had a mission, she was wanting to do it and get on, and she was irritated by these two fellas when they were having their emotional breakdown over what do we do, how do we go, where do we go, do we take her out the front door? Yeah, we'll try to take her out the front door. Wait a minute, we can't take her out the front door. Something has happened, and I think something happened that was loud, and they retreated and then decided to go back into the back. This was someone who knew the floor plan of Mrs. Nancy Guthrie. The way they entered the house, they were confident in how and where they were going. Now, do you think we'll ever find out from these dear children? We might. And again, we may find out only because it's what they themselves feel that are odd. Now, I'm sure that these children have been directed by lawyers and parents and whomever. You know, you don't say too much, you say this, you say that. But you know, law enforcement knows all that, and they get it. And it can just take one little word, one little way that they say it, can make law enforcement either say, okay, no, we retreat, or, oh, we better look at something else really close. So that night, I want to know about game night. That's what we're going to call this, my darlings. Because now the game is on. I want to look at game night. One day. Because that is the crucial tell right there. What happened during game night? What was the conversation about? Where did Nancy sit? Where did she eat? Was she playing the games? Was she not feeling well after she ate? And for, you know, those that are saying that somebody said that they can't, that Nancy didn't take her 10 p.m. medicine, I would like to know who knows that. What's the source of that? Again, HIPAA, but then in order to do that, they would have to do a pill count. And how would they know? There are things there that I'm not. So anyway, game night. What did they have for dinner? Was she allergic to anything? Was there something that made her sleepy before she left? I'm not talking about them doing anything. I'm talking about sometimes, even in the evening, if I have a cup of coffee after I eat, I get sleepy. So just know, I'm not accusing anybody. I've got questions. So now let's get out the cards and we're going to see what we can find. Here we are back again, my darlings. And some of you have asked about the big book of bull that I have in the shop. I am reconfiguring this a little bit. I want to make the image a little nicer. I mean, it's nice now, but I'll let you know when I add that back into the shop. But this is very cute. It's a little journal, and it's lined. I like it. It has a little, bookmark and so on and so on. Okay, so now we are going to be using cards that are a little gentler, only because we have the kids. They're not going to be hard and rough. We're gonna see what we can find out. We have the Piotnik deck here. We have the Old Style Lenormand, the House of Zelda Cartomancy deck, one of them. And then, you're going to like this one. This is a Lisa Parker Tarot. And we're going to be able to find out some things. Exactly, I can tell you this. And of course, we're going to save the Cartomancy to the last, because for me, that tells me the most. Let's take out this Lenormand deck and see. Lots of energy here in one falls. And it is a letter. So that means, now remember these Lenormand decks, it means that letters are correspondence, they're communication, could be a text, could be an email, could be anything. All right, energy. We're asking, what do the children know? What do the children know? Well, of course, here's the letter, but now you're going to see the 7 of spades in the corner. You know, the spades are not really the best of cards. They are cards of, in the Cartomancy, depression, upset. But in this particular case, this 7 of spades is a card of fear. Now, it can be groundless fears, but in this particular case for the kids, I don't think so. And the fear comes from what's going to happen. What's going to happen? The unknown. The attempt to find out. The attempt to hopefully figure out what is going on. They try to look at things from both sides, and they start to question. Now, the next card, the 9 of spades. Another very sad card. But let's look at this just for a minute. This is an anchor. And basically, this is them trying to dig in, anchor in, make sure they have a foundation, make sure that they are not all over the place and they're not drifting in the wind, that they're not listening to things that they shouldn't be listening to. This 9 of spades. Worried. They're worried. Is there a deception? And you know, some kids, in this case, can start blaming themselves. And that's horrific too, for whatever something. You know, they may think, gosh, should I say something to Grandma before she left? Did I not kiss her goodbye? This is also a card that talks about guarding against depression. Now, I want you to know that I'm not advocating that, and I have to say that. I'm not advocating anything negative here. I'm talking about things that happen to people when they are dealing with a very, very sad situation. This is also a card of curbing the imagination, and you can bet. I mean, I know how we are as adults. It's hard not to allow your imagination just to go tickety-boom all over the place. And then we have the ship. And this particular layout, meaning that ship has sailed. I believe that they're thinking that they're never going to see Nancy again. I hope that's not the case. You know, they're dealing with a lot of hard things. And now we have the 10 of spades. You see, we've got all spades except this one. And now we have the 10 of spades. The 10 of spades is about loss. It's about death. And it's about legal problems. And maybe they think this is the ship that they are on now. Maybe that is their course, because isn't it funny? There's a water reference here, but we've got the anchor and we've got the ship. And maybe they're just thinking, well, the pathway in life now has stopped and it will never be the same. This star card is kind of amazing for me. Nancy is considered to be the star card in the tarot deck. And since I laid this out first, I do believe that this is for Nancy. She's an Aquarius. There's a lot of things that are going on in with this card. But this 6 of hearts kind of tells it all. That 6 of hearts can mean a sacrifice in some way. It can mean, do the kids feel that Nancy was that. It's a card of feeling that the situation is dominant, meaning this whole thing with Nancy has taken over. It's consumed them. But it also makes me wonder, because this is a card that invites to make their own decisions, and it's also an invitation to think, was someone a possible doormat? And the fact that it's Nancy and we're talking about Nancy, and this is Nancy's card and the subject is Nancy, was someone mean to her? Did someone just kind of use her as a doormat? We're now going to use this. You're going to love these cards. This is Lisa Parker Tarot. The Eight of Swords. The Devil. The Five of Wands. And the Ace of Cups. These are interesting cards, my friends. This Eight of Swords, a card in which tells us that someone was in a situation that they felt they couldn't get out of. It's also a card, because it's an air element, it's also the card of communication. And since we have the letter there, do you think Nancy may have been put on the spot during dinner? During game hour? Question. Here's the Devil card, also the sign of Capricorn. Now see, this little fellow doesn't make it look so bad, does it? And that's on purpose for the kids. This Devil card can mean that someone was totally focused, could be obsessed with a particular situation. I don't believe the kids. This is a card that basically says, when you get your mind on something, you can't get it off until you can either get closure or you can get the result you want. And it can be both. But this is the most interesting card here for me. This Five of Wands. This Five of Wands, and you see there's a little book here, but the wands are fire elements. They are creative. And you see there's this little book. So that's also, to me, when I look at this card, I think, did somebody look something up? Were they researching something? Was this a card that they're really doing what they can? But I'll tell you the meaning of this card, and that is conflict. Conflict. And more than one person. And it's not putting out your boundaries. It is conflict. And it is a conflict that is a little tense. So now this Ace of Cups. A fall timing card. And I believe now, because this is all about emotions, and look at this owl. He's a wise guy, isn't he? No, he's not Italian. He's a wise fellow. And the cups are emotion. And it's a water sign. Even though we have this birdie on here, and this birdie, and see, this is why I like, because, well, telling about the cards, because for me, I'm not that stringent on saying, oh no, this is a water sign, and it's a water sign only, and you can't talk about anything else. No, it leads you into guide. It leads you into guiding and direction. And while this little fellow is a bird of the air, you see we've got a tree branch here, and then we've got a water element. So this is telling us that while could be very emotional, keep our feet on the ground. Be grounded. And this is little bird of the air says there's more to life than making sure that you live on a romantic tale. But in this particular situation, I'm going to say that this is all about, once again, the communication. And this old wise owl, which I'm going to just say, and I didn't mean it that way, so don't come after me. What I mean is owls are referred to old wise owls, especially in my circle. I'm going to say that could be like a spirit animal of Nancy. She was a wise bird. She knew what was up. Let's see what the Piotnik says. Wow. A thief. So in this communication in this pile right here that we've got, this letter and the swords, we've got a thief here. Is there a concern that something has been taken other than Nancy? Is there a concern that there was something underlying here? The frequency of the unknown. And then we have an enemy. And you know, sometimes when people want something, an enemy's enemy is an enemy's friend. So again, who else was there that night? Did someone just pop over? Was there exchanges of eyes and looks more than conversation and actions? Then there's the anger. And this doesn't surprise me because look, we've got that lost card. We've got this card here of the Five of Wands. Intense situation, anger, upset. And then we have this anger card. You can't tell me that we're not seeing things in a different light in some ways. This card comforts because if this is Nancy's pile with the star card and Nancy being the wise bird, the wise owl, here's the all-seeing eye. This is an eye of constancy and consistency. She was not only able to see, but now I believe that the energy is seeing more and probably more than some people like. So what do the kids know? Eight of Spades, Four of Spades. Look at the spades that are coming out. Oh my. Pretty interesting here. Now this kind of tells the tale. This Eight of Spades is a card of loneliness, feeling alone. And it can be a card of could Nancy possibly have needed to go to the hospital that night? Because it also can mean that this is a period of isolation, being alone. And it's also a card now, in this situation, it's not this card, but it's also a card of being in prison. Maybe it is. Maybe it was a prison for Nancy that she felt she could not get out of a particular situation. But it's a card of hospital. Did Nancy feel bad during the game night? This is a card of total frustration, not being able to get your point across, trying to encourage and even manipulate people into believing what you believe. Meaning, do I believe that Nancy felt that she was being manipulated? Was anyone at the game night frustrated because they just couldn't get their point across enough for Nancy to be convinced of something. Now this ties in with this card. Very interesting. The 3 of Spades. A third party interference. Where is that third party now? Could be under the ground. This third party interference. Now, if I were reading this in a different way, I would be saying, gee, this third party's interference in another reading for another person could mean someone is having an affair. It could mean that someone is giving bad information on an affair. But I believe is also someone who convinced and giving bad information to perhaps, I'm not even going to say it. I think you get it. But this is a third party stepping in. So look, if it were me, there may not have been a physical person there that the kids saw, but they could have been waiting outside in the car and the kids may never even know it. This Ace of Clubs. This is a summer timing card. And I'm going to say the way the planets are aligning, I hope that they find out something more. And I really hope they find her by July 26th, because that's an astrology, I'm going to say a planetary alignment that if they don't do it by then, if she's not found by then, it could mean that they may not ever find her. I hope I'm wrong in that. But this is a summer timing card. And the fact that we've got it here with Nancy, my question is, could this all have started to be planned this past summer? What's beneath this? The Rider, and this is the 9 of Hearts. The Rider means we're going to be getting information coming in soon. This is the Yes card. The wish fulfilled, the dream, the goal. But this Rider is someone coming in. So I'm just going to say, look in the next few days for more information. What are we not seeing here on the bottom? The 7 of Cups. A fulfillment. Could it be a fulfillment of an idea, of a contract? Loyalty, fidelity. Is this Nancy being loyal to the family, but making someone not feel like they are part of the family? Or is this people that are feeling loyal to the cause and are not going to say anything, maybe until even the bitter end? And then, my dears, look what we have here. The confirmation in this particular card. And that is the 10 of Spades, in which it is the loss card. It is not good, but legal problems. So is there going to be something legal coming up? And like I said, there's a couple of cards in the Cartomancy. There's a combination in the Cartomancy that I use, and no, I'm not going to tell you what it is. I do not believe it's in the Cartomancy. If it is, okay. But it predicts someone leaving this earth. And I don't mean in a UFO. I don't tell that. I don't want to see it. And in my years of reading, I have seen it. Seldom. In this particular case, it's not here on the board. But what I will tell you, that the tarot came from the Cartomancy. And the Cartomancy This card is not good. And the worst one is the ace. We don't have the ace here today. We did yesterday. So do the children know something that law enforcement could use? I'm going to say the probability is very high, and they don't even know it. So I'm just going to say the number 2 is going to be significant. And do they have 2 children or 3? I don't know. But I'm just going to say, no matter what, there is a 2 associated with the children. I'm going to... This is going to get interesting, my darlings. Stay tuned. Do me a favor, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon, okay? Thanks for being here. And find Nancy. Bye for now.